Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our life skills workshop. I'm Donald, the director of the Atlantic Center for Independent Living, with my colleague Dawn, the independent living specialist. And we're going to do two PowerPoints today for our life skills. We're going to do, but they both are about social media. One about social media in general, and the other one about how to safely use social media. So let's start. I'll start. Social media is computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas. By design, uh, social media is an internet-based that offers easy electronic communication with people. You know, it engages people. If you're watching this Zoom, you understand social media because it's on Facebook, but now there's Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr and LinkedIn. It's all about making it easier to connect and to reach out to people. And not only to reach out to people, but to see um, who else those people know. No, like that's the whole point of LinkedIn, to build that employer network. You know, if I know Dawn and she has a LinkedIn, then I also would see who Dawn knows. Same thing with Facebook. So it's all about connecting people. Next slide.
Okay, so we all know that social media can take many forms. We love to share our photos. Some people like to blog. Lots of people love to do social gaming. There are social networks, video sharing, business networks, virtual worlds, reviews, and a whole lot more. So social media, I think, began as a way to keep in touch with friends and extended family, and it really has grown into other type of networking for careers. As you can see, we can talk to people all over the world. We can share what we're doing. We can share our common interests. We can engage with other like-minded individuals if we choose to do so. So it really has expanded into a whole global world, virtual world. And for businesses, social media has become a very valuable tool for finding and engaging with customers, right? They can offer sales and advertising promotion. They can gauge trends and offer different kinds of customer service. We see a lot of it today, how our government and politicians utilize social media to get to their constituents and engage with their voters. So social media's role in helping businesses has become very significant. It does facilitate the communication with customers. It melds social interactions on e-commerce sites. They can collect information that help them focus marketing efforts. They can promote products and services and distribute the distribution of focused, timely, and exclusive sales and coupons. We all know if we buy anything online, sometimes they ask us if we have a promotion code that we can apply that will give us extra discounts. I feel like today in this COVID pandemic that we are experiencing, many people are now buying their groceries online. So that's a convenience that has emerged through social media.
All right, the pace of change in social media has been very rapid. I remember when I first started using social media, it was MySpace, and it was just a general profile in a blog, and that was the coolest thing ever until Facebook came along and completely knocked it out. Now nobody's on MySpace, and now as Facebook gets older and is more skewed towards older people, it's been Instagram and Snapchat that have taken the lead. So, you know, and if you think about it, all social media is kind of a feature of the same thing. You know, taking pictures, videos, making comments, and it's gotten to the point where that has really been boiled down. Like some social media, like now there's TikTok, which is all video based. Instagram is all picture based. So, and some social medias do everything. So it's interesting how these social medias have evolved from just a blog to being able to take pictures about what's going on in your day.
Oh, okay. So here are some types of social media usage and examples. So these numbers are a little bit old, so we do apologize for that. But you can see that some 81% of Americans use social media as of 2017. We know that number is so much higher now. It also says that 1/5 of an individual's online time is spent on social media. So we do spend a lot of time connecting and chatting and purchasing and playing um, through social media. So it does show that in 2005, the percentage of adults using social media was around 5%. And we know that that number has increased enormously since then. Globally, back in 2018, they saw that there were about 1.96 billion social media users, and that was expected to rise to 2.5 billion by the end of 2018. So now we're in the year 2020. We know that number has exploded even more. And in many households, people would be hard pressed to know what to do without social media. And they talk about in that last bullet that the majority tend to be younger. It says 90% of people are ages 18 to 29 that use at least one form of social media. But I'll bet if we had a redo of those numbers, we would find that the population of 29 and older has greatly increased, as well as the population of 18 and under.
I agree. All right, so here's a list of the United States and China. We lead the world in social media. I find this interesting. Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Reddit, I know. Viper, I don't know. Pinterest, I know. It's interesting to see, some of these I know and some of these I don't. Skype, I know. Don't know, I bet, because this is an older list as well, that now if you made a list, or maybe next year, that Zoom will be on there. And Skype, I think, will be lower. I haven't heard a lot of people during this pandemic saying I'm using Skype, unless they're talking about their phone, which sometimes they refer to as I Skyped through my phone. But I haven't heard a lot of people doing meetings through Skype. So it's just interesting how things evolve. And I'm sure Snapchat is probably higher. YouTube, I bet, has stayed the same, probably increased. So it's interesting.
Okay, so yes, people are out there and they are not always loving social media. It gets overused, it's been linked to addiction and contributes to inattentiveness, stress, jealousy. Why? Because I think we know why, but because we're looking at what other people are doing, and people don't usually talk about their worst day. They like to talk about their best day and where they've been and how great it was and how many people they were with and how much fun they had. So that can cause stress and jealousy. And we also need to try to remember that that's not always the everyday for that individual. Social media also has been linked to depression. Again, when you think everyone else's life is so much better than yours, you sometimes look at yourself and think, well, I'm not so great. So we need to be careful always with that. And it is a way for a lot of misleading information and falsehoods, okay? And they have been well documented since that 2016 presidential election. And there are always places that you can go to fact check information. And I think people forget that. They tend to believe what they read. So I'm just going to put a little plug out there for a site like Snopes.com, where you can very easily find out if the information that you're hearing or seeing has any validity or truth to it.
Just thinking about an example of that during the COVID crisis. I know you brought this to my attention, Don, and I've saw it too. There were a lot of memes going around about that like within a week, the government's going to close down and it's going to be a national curfew. And it was very popular on social media. And of course, as we can see now, that that hasn't happened. So, but it sounded very official. It looked very official. I think I even saw one that said, "Talk to my, you know, nephew in the police force," and this is what he's been hearing. You know, but so it's just important to remember that. Well, I think two things to highlight. One, I always like this quote that I heard: "Social media is not real life." So when you look at somebody's great time or something they're celebrating, like Don said, they're not showing you, you know, their the struggles that they've gone through. And and two, just because you see it on social media, Facebook is not an official source. Twitter is not an official source. Click on that article and see what it says. And also, use a degree of, you know, pass the smell test. If it sounds kind of hype, kind of over the top or too good to be true, you know, stop and question yourself. Like, does that sound like real news to me? So Snopes is great. Washington Post, New York Times, some reliable article. Don't fall prey to passing around misinformation because that benefits nobody and it can spread like wildfire.
Yes, and you cannot believe everything you read and see. And when it does lack oversight or fact checking, that becomes our responsibility to make sure that the information that we think maybe does smell a little funny, to check it out and see if it is, so that we're not passing that misinformation on to others. And also sometimes the information we see is a little unsettling, and sometimes it's nice to find out that, you know what, that's not true, or that was an exaggeration. So yes, do your fact checking. Be the responsible one. Don't believe everything you see and hear.
Tips for social media. Always be careful about what you post. Always know who you're talking to. You know, just because somebody messaged you on Facebook, anybody who's watched the show Catfish knows that doesn't mean that their picture is that person. So use a degree of common sense with that. Um, don't always believe what you're seeing, as Don said. And if something or anyone makes you feel uncomfortable, trust your gut and use those privacy settings. Don't, and also use those privacy settings, block them, and don't engage them. Like, I'm a big believer in that too. Just because somebody sent you a message, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, block them. You don't have to say anything to them. They don't have to know why they're blocked. You owe them nothing. You know, so don't even engage it, because a lot of times on, as we know, on social media, people are looking for a reaction. So use those privacy settings, but also don't let yourself be dragged into just ridiculousness.
Yeah, so walk away. And I do think it's important to tell someone that you trust, especially to our younger viewers. It's always good to have that safety net in place of trusted adults that we can go to with things that we are worried about or concerned or don't feel comfortable with. So if someone is making you feel uncomfortable, absolutely walk away, shut them down, block them, but also tell somebody that you trust, because they might see something in that message or that post or that blog that perhaps as a younger person you don't understand, and they might need to take it to another level of
Right.
ensuring that that person doesn't enter your social media again. So
Right.
protect your privacy.
Yes.
And I think that's it for today.
All right, that's
For
it.
today, sorry, that's it for this segment. We're going to